Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Moving Forward podcast. I am back again with Sean for a Thursday/Friday episode whenever you're listening to this. But this is a brand new podcast. Sean and I sat down and we thought for a long time what is the best way to move forward with this podcast to include as many things as possible. So moving forward, we're still going to focus on probably NBA and NFL the most because those are the sports that we watch the most. But we're going to include some other talk, like maybe some college football and college basketball, which was always guaranteed. But we have a couple new segments, including some baseball talk and maybe hockey once it gets around into the next season. And now we're opening Love Hate up to just life. So maybe we'll get some more life talk. But first, we're going to start off with a thing that's been dominating the news cycle for the last 48 hours, the NBA Finals. The Milwaukee Bucks are the 2021 NBA champions. And although I found myself rooting for the Suns for most of their time through the Western Conference playoffs, except for when they played the Lakers, I couldn't be happier that Giannis won this championship. I think he's a guy that everyone likes and he's really deserving. Sean, what was your takeaway on Milwaukee Bucks being NBA champions?
Yeah, like you said, well deserved. It was just a pleasure watching that game. It reminded me of like one of those like dominating legend performances we've seen KD have the past couple years. LeBron's had a bunch, like Steph Curry. Like I felt like we were watching history like in real time, and that's what that Giannis performance felt like. Like I think I texted our group chat about it during the game. I was like, Giannis is absolutely unstoppable right now, and that's just like the sense you got. And it was just literally watching poetry in motion.
Yeah, when somebody is just absolutely dominating like that, like you knew it was trouble for the Phoenix Suns when Giannis hit 17 of 19 free throws. Like,
Oh
where the hell
yeah.
did this come from? That was absolutely insane. Like, he was in his bag. He must have worked with Lethal Shooter between games 5 and 6 because I was just beyond impressed with what he was doing, especially offensively and defensively. He had some stupid plays where he got a little overexcited. He had a goaltend, but like how aggressive he is on both ends of the court, like just nothing deters him. Even being an awful shooter, he still takes threes. And I'm like, okay, Giannis, I think it's a bad shot, but hey, the dude fucking believes in himself. And that's the best thing that he has going for him. And I think that'll carry him a
Yeah.
long, long way moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of like you said, people are always shocked. Like, why does he keep shooting? Why does he keep shooting? But that's a great point. Like, he believes in himself. Like, that's kind of what got him to this point in the first place. And yeah, it all came to fruition, all that hard work. Like, I mean, I know the big thing was like they were showing that graphic during the game about how he grew like 4 or 5 inches, gained like 50 pounds. Like, yeah, the height thing's natural, but gaining that much weight, that's just straight up hard work. Like, you can tell, like, it's all weight room stuff, like putting in those extra hours. And yeah, man, it's just good to see an NBA superstar and an NBA team that actually like deserved this title in a way. Like, we've seen a lot of like manufactured super team dominate the NBA the last 10 years, and this was a homegrown team, and that was a homegrown dude. So I mean, I think it's just great for the league, honestly.
Yeah, the Giannis gaining about 50 pounds is the most impressive thing I've ever seen because we always see guys enter the NBA or maybe even the NFL where they're like, they need to put on weight and they never can. But Giannis put on 50 pounds, probably of all muscle. I just think it's really impressive. And I think part of gaining all that weight had to do with his Chick-fil-A order 50-piece McNugget. Let me get a 50, not 49, not 41. But the main thing I wanted to ask you is what do you think of the combination of the Sprite and the lemonade? Because I think that'd be really good.
I was thinking about that too for a long time, and I was always a big proponent when I was younger of doing an all-in-one soda. So I'd like go up to McDonald's, like get all the little mixes in one. And you had to try it. You have to. I mean, it's awesome. But I didn't. I never considered the Sprite and lemonade. And as soon as I saw that, it made so much sense in my head. I might just have to go out and get one today and try it for myself. But very impressed with that. That was actually the most impressive thing that came out of the finals to me, getting
Yeah,
that drink
that
order.
that or maybe watching PFT from Barstool sit down super high and watch 50 eat them eat 50 chicken nuggets. That was super funny. He did that last night and I
Oh my
watched that and I
god.
was like, I can see why how Giannis could do it, big dude, but 5'8"
Can't believe he did
PFT.
that actually.
Well, it was the
Do you take down
3G.
50 in one sitting?
I would have to really try. I'd have to really force myself. And I think I'd be like 20 easy. Once you start pushing that 30 to 40 limit, that would be really, really hard. Like I think I'd
Yep.
do it in a day, but in one sitting would be tough.
Yeah, if I didn't eat all day and like I was just super starving, I think I could take down like 25 of these. And then, but once it hits that point, it's just kind of painful. I don't know
Yeah,
if I could
I
do it.
I agree. Well, now that the NBA season is over, we're transitioning into free agency and the NBA draft. The NBA draft is in the week away. We will be obviously be doing more stuff with the NBA draft next week. But first, I want to look into the free agency class because today was the last day that you could send somebody a qualifying offer, make somebody a restricted free agent. So I have a list of restricted free agents, and Sean and I are going to go rapid fire one by one, saying restricted, unrestricted, and a queef. What? A quick explanation why each team is I don't know why. I don't know how that word came out, but a quick
Something on
explanation
your mind?
why. Yeah, something on my mind. Quick explanation why they should either the team should pick up and resign them or let them go. Okay. First one, I feel like this is relatively easy. I think we'll both agree. John Collins. Keep, right?
Okay, all right, maybe not. I think you should let him go. Here's the thing, why? Okay, because I was watching him during the playoffs, and like he had some nice games. He won Atlanta. He kept Atlanta a couple games, but I don't know what he does isn't too unique. If you say like, especially in the playoffs, like large part of his role was those like catching lobs, like getting rebounds, occasionally hitting threes. I think he was an okay 3-point shooter. I thought he was inconsistent, but he's going to be asking for upwards of 22, 25 million. And you think about it down the line, you're going to have to give Trey another contract relatively soon. I don't know what his situation is. You're going to have to play someone like DeAndre Hunter, Herder. You're going to have a lot of mouths to feed. And I don't know if you want to like blow your whole wad on Collins, who who's a high level player, but he's not an all star. And I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make on the team if he's not around next year.
I'll just make my case real quickly and we'll move on to the next guy. But John Collins, I just think that you can't let him go for free. If you want to sign him and trade him, I'd be okay with that. But I just think he's a borderline. I think he's just a really good starter on a finals team. So I think that's just like you can't let him go. I do agree though, 20 to 25 million would be way too much for me to be paying for John Collins. If I was playing around 15 to 18, I'd be pretty happy. But upward of 25, I would not pay that contract. Moving on, actually a shocking one from this draft class because we kind of forget about it, but because he was drafted by the Detroit Pistons, but now on the Brooklyn Nets, Bruce Brown.
Hmm. See, I didn't even know he was up for free agency. I think they should re-sign him because he's not going to ask for much. I think he was actually like an integral. He had an integral role in the team. He was like that heartbeat off the bench. So, yeah, I think you can re-sign him for cheap. And like it seemed like he gelled really well with the superstars. And you always need a player like Bruce Brown, a guy that's going to do the dirty work and give you that spark off the bench. So yeah, I'd say they keep him.
I agree. Resign Bruce Brown. I think he does a lot of great things for that team. He kind of does the nitty gritty that the superstars don't want to do. Moving on to Devonte Graham. Devonte Graham is a free agent, restricted free agent this year for the Hornets. I think they should let him go. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really make much sense anymore now you have Lonzo, small point guard, good shooter, like a solid player, but obviously you want to build around Lonzo and have him be the center of your offense. So I feel like having him around like is just nothing but trouble for the team and might muck up the rotations and possibly team chemistry. I don't really know. That's just a theory. But I mean, he's been a high level player for them. So I feel like he's going to be expecting like shots and then minutes and all that. I don't know how you could balance that. So, I mean, I'd say like let him go, but I don't know how much he's going to be asking for. I don't know what his market is. So he's a good
Yeah,
player.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it a lot has to do with asking price and whether you can bring him back for that amount of money. But they do have Rozier and they do have Lamelo, so I
Right.
like those two next to
Right.
each other, and I think that's a good fit. He would be a great scorer off the bench, and that seemed to be their downside this year was their bench effort. So maybe you'll bring him back. I think it just depends on the asking price. Moving on
Yeah.
to the next player, we're looking at the Bulls. This player has been. A lot of people think they should let him go. A lot of people think he has a lot of promise. Lauri Markkinen.
Oof. That's tough, baby Dirk. I mean, he got that hype coming out of the draft in his first year. Like, he had a solid first year. He shot like ridiculous amount of threes and made them. I thought didn't he like break the record for most threes by a rookie in a year or something, or tie it?
Until Sadiq Bey beat it this year, it was Lauri
Mm-hmm.
Markkinen.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not really made much of a splash since then. He's a nice piece. He'd be a really interesting piece on like a championship team, like a guy off the bench or maybe like a six man. I feel like he can be used really well, but I don't know if it's working out particularly in Chicago. So I mean, I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one, but yeah, I'd say get him out of there.
See, I'm going to go with keep because I don't think it's 100% sure that you re-sign Zach LaVine next offseason. So I think you
Mm.
have to keep the asset. Just if you want to blow things up after this whole Vucevic Levine thing fails, you can trade him then. But I think he's too valuable an asset to lose now. I think he's kind of a worse version of what Porzingis was in New York. He's obviously not the defender that he was, but I do think that he can spread the floor really, really well. All right, moving on. I think a lot of things will really tell us what this team plans on doing with this player after the draft happens. But the next player on my list is Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen, I think that they should keep him unless they draft Mobley. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that because I mean they kind of do the same role, but I would really like to see them together, power forward and
That is
center on the
something
same
that is
court.
something that the Cavaliers have hinted at that they really like the fit somehow between Jarrett Allen and Mobley because Mobley can space the floor a little bit more than Allen can and does have a little bit of a handle. They've been hinting
Yeah,
that they would be really good next to each other.
but I mean, if you think about it now, you have Okoro, Mobley, and Allen, all defensive centered players, like on your starting line. Your offense isn't going to struggle naturally.
Yeah, I do
So
think they have two really good scorers in Sexton and Garland that can kind of carry it. And I think Mobley's offensive game will come around with time. I just think that first year might be really difficult for that offense. Moving on to our hometown Detroit Pistons, they have two restricted free agents that I think of our note of talking about, and that is Hamidou Diallo, who they traded for this year for Svi Mikhailuk, and Saben Lee. I think we don't even have to talk about Saben Lee. I think you easily bring him back to be the point guard off the bench. What about you, Sean? Agree?
agreed. Yeah, definitely. He's a young piece. He's a rookie. Second year, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to bring him back just because he played well in games last year, and I love what the Pistons are doing with the young core. So yeah, keep it going.
All right, and then Hamidou Diallo, I think you bring him back. I think he's a young player, and I think he can do a lot for you off the bench. I did like what Josh Jackson did for the Pistons last year, and I think he's a good player. But I'd rather have the young asset in Diallo than a player like Josh Jackson, who I think might have just had good numbers because he was on a bad team.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. I mean his numbers are a little inflated, but I like the spark off of both of them. I mean Hamdu came in pretty. He was a vaunted like young piece for the Thunder. I remember a lot of people discussing his name, but yeah, I mean I like I said before, young players. That's what you do. You build up from the core. So the Bucks did. I mean, you never know what he's gonna turn into. Maybe he works on his game, turns into something else. So I'd rather take a chance on a player like him than sign some random veteran because realistically, the Pistons aren't really going to compete this year. If we're being honest, they're going to grow hopefully, but yeah, I would definitely trust maybe a younger player rather than signing a crappy old veteran.
Okay, I feel like this is a name that's been thrown out in a lot of trade pieces. For some reason, he's a guy that could possibly get you Damian Lillard if you just add him into a trade, and that is Taylor Horton Tucker, THT, out of the Los Angeles Lakers. I feel like this is a no-brainer for the Lakers. I think you have to bring him back. You don't have a whole lot of young assets, and I think there's going to be a lot of turnover on this roster this year. But I really do like THT, and I think he can do some good stuff. He struggled in the playoffs this year, but I do like what he can do.
Yeah, well, you got to talk to your boy LeBron, GM LeBron, see if he got his seal of approval. But yeah, I mean, he's a solid player. Like you said, he did struggle in the playoffs, which is what they're pretty much aiming towards, though. But like you said, I don't really know what you could get other than him. Like, what would be better in the free agent market than him? Um, Yeah, I did see that rumor about Lillard being traded to them, which doesn't make any sense for Portland. But yeah, if you can bring him back for cheap, I'd say. I mean, he's solid, so do it.
All right. I just wrote down two players for the Miami Heat just because they're both restricted free agents, but I feel like one's a no-brainer and the other is maybe a question mark.
Hmm.
We'll both agree that Duncan Robinson is coming back next year, one of the best spot up three-point shooters in the NBA and improving
Hmm.
every single year. I think that's a no-brainer. The one that
Yep.
I did want to talk about was Kendrick Nunn because I think they're going to decline the player option on Goran Dragic. He didn't look the same he did 2 years ago when they made the run for the NBA Finals. So unless he signs for a really small contract, I think he's probably out of there. So the starting point guard position is open, and I think Kendrick Nunn's a pretty decent fit. I think he does a lot of really nice things. He does struggle on defense, which is his downside. But if I was the Miami Heat, depending on the contract, I think I'd bring back Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, I agree. He's a nice player. Kind of Dragic like on offense in a way. They both have that crafty left-handed game that's kind of tough to cover. Very quick, but yeah, with Miami Heat's like defensive culture and like their hard-nosed like attitude about the game. I don't know if he fits completely. I mean, that could be off base. I don't know his personality, but I could see them not re-signing him, but from the outside looking in, I'd definitely say re-sign him if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
he's a
it does.
solid piece, but
It makes a lot of sense. And I think he's an absolute dog, but I think he's just one of those guys who will work his ass off on offense to get a bucket, but then on defense will let you drive right by you. So that's kind of
right.
my thought process on him. Moving on to the Pelicans, they have also two restricted free agents drafted in the same year. They were both drafted by the Lakers, but now they're on the Pelicans. First one is Josh Hart. I think they're going to let Josh Hart go, to be honest. I don't think he fits in with this team. I liked what he did for the Lakers a couple of times, but I think Josh Hart's just going to be a decent rotational player in the NBA for a long time. And I don't think the Pelicans are willing to pay him the money that he thinks he deserves.
Yeah, I don't really know where he got that like self-entitlement because I saw that thing where he was like bashing the Pistons too. That kind of just made me hate him. I don't really know too much about his game, but yeah, I don't know. Screw Josh Hart. That's my take on it.
Okay, moving on. The next one is Lonzo Ball. I personally think the Pelicans should resign Lonzo. I think he's improving every single year. The jump shot took huge strides this year, and he's still one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. I think they should definitely bring him back. But for some reason, I think that they're not going to bring him back. And I really like Lonzo Ball. I thought he was a little too raw, but now 4 years into his NBA career, I'm starting to like what I'm seeing from Lonzo.
Yeah, I agree. On paper, it makes complete sense to have him surrounded around like Zion and Brandon Ingram because he's a defensive guy, like you said. And he's like kind of a rare pass first point guard. I mean, he has that type of like Jason Kidd type of game. Like he'll take the shot when he needs it, but I feel like he's a good facilitator. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm confused. We've seen nothing but buzz about him being traded or like going to free agency. So personally, I would definitely re-sign him, but really doesn't look like he's going to go back.
And the very last one that I have on my list is I think somebody who I had high hopes for out of Gonzaga, and I thought he was going to be a really good player. Zach Collins. Zach Collins has really been disappointing. He had one decent year his rookie year, and ever since then he's been very injury prone. So I want to cut him some slack, but also he hasn't played hardly at all for the last two seasons for the Portland Trailblazers, and they already struggle with cap issues. I think they're going to let Zach Collins go.
Yeah, I mean, he just can't stay healthy. I don't know what's going on in Portland, but their big guys can just never stay healthy. Between him and Nurkic, they play like 20 games apiece a year. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Like you said, he looked pretty solid coming out, but yeah, if you can't stay on the floor, you're not really giving a team a reason to resign you. So, I don't know how Portland can justify giving him a even a mid-level contract like with the production he's shown on the floor, which is there's really nothing to go off of. So, yeah, unfortunately, I would just kind of let him go. Maybe hopefully he gets healthy and proves his worth. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to work in Portland.
I do not think it's going to work in Portland either. Well, that wraps up our NBA talk, our NBA champions, and then look at some of our restricted free agents. Now, after the break, we are going to do our first NFL topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're here with our first NFL topic, and NFL season is right around the corner. We're about 2 weeks away from our first preseason game at the Hall of Fame game, and the first thing that we're going to talk about is the lack of preseason. Actually, when the NFL moved to 17 games, they also agreed that they would eliminate one preseason game, trying to save the players' bodies a little bit. And we also see a lot of injuries happen in preseason as well. Seems like a lot of guys get hurt before the season even starts. We just saw Cam Akers go down with a torn Achilles, and the season hasn't even started yet. So the question for this episode is: do you think the lack of preseason hurts or helps the players?
I think from a player perspective, from someone that's trying to make a roster, obviously it hurts because you don't have that extra gain to prove your worth to the coaches and everything, to prove that you have a spot on the team. But that is for like the prospective players that maybe have a spot on the roster that maybe could get on the team. But on the flip side, for like the star players, like the ones you draft in a fantasy draft, let's just say that, I think it definitely helps them because they can rest a little bit more. There's less chance of injury. So I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, it depends on how you view it, but yeah, I think it hurts that a small group of players for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Those guys that are borderline players who end up could can make real impact on your roster for the NFL season. They're really losing out on an opportunity here. They're going to have the same amount of time for preseason, just one less game. So we'll still see some practices and stuff like that. So they'll still get their opportunity, but it does showcase more when you can perform on a big stage. I think that speaks highly because we hear about it all the time with guys in football or basketball. Some guys are just there and they're great practice players, but then they get on the field, they crap their leg. And then other guys kind of struggle in practice, but when the lights are on, they play really great. So I think for players who are veterans and guys like that who have a for sure roster spot, I do think it helps. I think if you can get limber and get ready for the season, but without risking your body of being too injured, I think it's a great idea. But some of these guys who are trying to make the team, like you said, I think this just really hurts their chances. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's
tough
just
to
kind of
say.
tough. Yeah, it's a tough argument, tough debate, but I don't know. I feel like it's like no one haven't seen anyone complain about it from like an NFL player perspective. So I feel like it's going over pretty well with everyone. But as you said, like with Cam Akers though, it's a freak league. It's a freak sport. Like you can get injured doing just about anything, practicing, like walkthroughs, anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know what the NFL's direction is with this, but we'll see how it plays out. And yeah, hopefully everyone can just stay healthy.
Yeah, and then our next topic is COVID means an automatic loss. So the NFL came out today and said, hey, we're not doing any of that weird shit we did last year where we moved games to Wednesday or Tuesday. If your team and the unvaccinated players, if they somehow have an outbreak and they don't have enough players to play, you get an automatic loss and that counts towards your record. The other team gets a win. So whatever team, so this year we'll be able to find out which teams actually have to forfeit on games because we'll see it in the win-loss column, which I think will be really interesting. But I don't know how like players like Cole Beasley and guys like that who haven't been vaccinated yet, it's your choice. I think it's a stupid choice, but I don't know how they haven't gotten vaccinated yet. I don't see how any games get canceled this season if they're pushing upwards of 80% of the team being vaccinated.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's kind of a tough like topic to talk about because it has a deal. It's just basically a direct result of like vaccinations. They're just NFL is basically telling their teams get vaccinated or you have the chance of losing. So yeah, I mean, like you said, like it's everyone's choice. So you don't want to tell people what to do, and the NFL can't directly tell their players, hey, get vaccinated or you can't play in the league. But I think this is the most direct, indirect way to tell them to get vaccinated. It's a pretty firm stance, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just applies a lot of social pressure to the players because you don't want to be the guy that's unvaccinated and possibly has a COVID infection during the season, then cost your team a game. So it is kind of controversial, but I do think it's effective for what the NFL wants to do, and hopefully it makes a couple more players get vaccinated.
Yeah, I just think overall, like you said, that was a perfect way of saying it. It's the most direct way of being indirect for the
Hmm.
NFL. And obviously, you can't force your players to do anything. But I just think it's really funny that, like, this even has to be a rule. Like, I think that last year was just so great because, like, who didn't love when somehow a random football game got moved to Tuesday? It just meant more football during the week, which was nice because, you got your Maction going on and then you got a random NFL Tuesday game. Wasn't there one that was like in like week 17 or something like that with the Ravens had to reschedule and it was a Tuesday at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something weird
Yeah,
like
then
that?
we had a Wednesday night game with I think it was Pittsburgh and the Titans, I believe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is the biggest casualty to come out of this rule is the random NFL games, and the biggest casualty with COVID kind of dying down a little bit is having random sports at different times of the summer. Like once we go back to this like regular sports schedule, I think
It's
we're all
gonna
gonna be
be
super sad
I
because
don't know, yeah.
we're gonna have a lot of dead space that we forgot about. Like I hate this part of the summer because this is like the least amount of sports we're gonna get. Luckily, we had the Olympics this year, but yeah, the NFL just kind of killed our Tuesday night football dreams.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I don't know what the NBA is doing because they literally dominated in the month of July for ratings for sports. I don't know why they don't move towards like starting in like Thanksgiving time and just space out the games a little bit more. And then you can still go until mid-July. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I did read somewhere that the reason they don't do that is because during these like summer months, like July and August, this
People
is the
watch
least amount
TV
of time
left.
like
Yeah.
people don't watch TV. Like not a lot of people are actually like on their TV. So I think there's like a lot of research that goes into it, but I know, like it makes for like the sports diehards that we are and like most people are, like this is the perfect time because they would just dominate the entire sports schedule. But I think with like their analytics and everything, it doesn't make too much sense. But
Yeah, a loser like me is going to watch the NFL no matter when they play. Moving on to more of the college scene, there is a big talk right now about basically the Big 12 blowing up. Teams like Texas and Oklahoma wanting to go to the SEC, a rumor that Kansas and Iowa State wanting to join the Big 10. I think like if the Big 12 wants to die, it can die. I'd love to take Kansas and Iowa State in conference for Big 10 for basketball for sure. And then football, Iowa State a little bit, Kansas not so much, but Texas and Oklahoma within the SEC would be fucking awesome. I would love to see that.
really, I don't know. I don't like that. I kind of like their separate little like Big 12. Like I think that I don't know. I'm just kind of like a traditions guy though. Like I like to see the things I've always seen. But like the thought of like having Kansas be in like the like the Big Ten like football schedule, like it's kind of like a Rutgers thing. Like Rutgers adding the Big Ten's never really made sense. It's ugly to watch. Like they suck at football. Like it's diminished the league in my opinion. But that's just one perspective. But from the SEC, like having Texas and Oklahoma and Alabama in the same conference would be objectively pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it would be sweet. Like I get
Yeah,
what you mean, especially with the football side of things, but thinking about how Kansas would be in the Big 10 for basketball would just be really, really cool.
that would kind of suck for us though. You
It
realize
would
that?
suck. Yeah, it would take away wins and it would do all that. But I'd love to watch like a yearly or every other year Texas, Alabama or Texas, Oklahoma. Like, I don't know. I don't because A&M's already in the SEC and they're like occasionally okay. Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
Jimbo's doing talking all this shit saying like this is a different league. Like Jimbo, you're not like Georgia or Alabama. Like
No.
you don't absolutely dominate this league. Like you have an occasional year where like you're pretty good. You maybe make the SEC championship game. So I don't know what's all this shit talking to Texas when Texas gets way better recruits than you anyway.
Yeah, I mean with Texas though, you also they haven't really done shit. Like I don't know why they're trying to jump ship on the Big 12 that they can't even win that. And now they're going to go to the SEC and expect what? Like they're going to do even worse. They're going to finish like fourth or fifth in that league. So actually, the biggest question for Texas is, will the SEC enforce the horns down rule? Do you
That's
see
just such
that?
a
Big
that's the
12?
dumbest thing ever. Like, so you can do it to opposing fans, you can do it in general, but if you direct it towards a player, then it's a penalty. If you're gonna make horns down a penalty, you need to make horns up a penalty too. It's ridiculous. It's like
Yeah,
just
where's the line
twisting,
cross?
it's just twisting your hand, either or. And then if I do this, if people aren't watching, I'm like flicking, I'm like doing a rock and roll thing, then that could be interpreted either way. Then no one knows what the hell I'm doing. Like that's like
I,
30 flags. It's like
I
the Key
really
and
want
Peele.
to.
Sorry, it's like the Key and Peele sketch when he's like doing the humping and he's waiting for the third pump and then he immediately throws the flag. It's like me doing the horns down and me slowly moving down and then until I get to a certain angle, then they throw the flag on you.
I want to see a instant replay review like they do for targeting, but it's the horns down thing. Like
That
they're
would be
just breaking.
amazing.
Announcers are like, "Well, you see his wrist; it's flicking down. Does he cross the plane? Oh, we did it! Yeah." And the ref toss the flag.
Yeah, like that is a review that I'd happily sit 15 minutes and watch instead of the review for at the end of basketball games when the last 2 minutes become 45 minutes long. So
Yeah,
overall, I think it'd be pretty interesting to see, but I don't know how it's going to work out, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think the Big 12 will still be around for at least a little bit longer. But if there's any league
right.
that needs to die, it's the Pac-12, to be honest.
Yeah, Pac-12 just skates out of all this conversation. They just kind of have their own little league. I think the NCAA tournament was really big for them though. That kind of like revamped their
I just meant football. I
basketball.
meant football wise
Football,
most.
oh yeah, we're talking football. Yeah, they're just obsolete. But yeah, I mean, with the new like, what is it, 8 team college football playoff now?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, 12. I mean, they might have a chance now. Maybe one of their teams can sneak in. But yeah, the fact that they haven't had one football team in the whole entire like college football playoff is just embarrassing.
I think they've had Washington twice. I think that's the only team who's made it.
They did have Washington. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just
But,
completely wrong.
well, that will end the talk there for college football and the NFL. Now we are moving on to old man talk. Basically, old man talk is the sports that refuse to change and they're slowly dying off, and only old men like my father and my great grandfather watch anymore. So, this week's old man talk, we were talking about
Mhm.
baseball and how the Tigers are the hottest team in baseball right now. I think since the All-Star breaks ended, I think they're 6-0. And I've just been fascinated with Chris Castellani. If everybody knows who he is, he's a guy who grew up in Michigan, big Tigers guy, talks about him. I've been absolutely fascinated how him and Dave, just like Dave bets on the Tigers every single game and either says, thank you, Chris, for the good pick, or MFs him on Twitter. And I think it's hysterical.
No, that's really funny for him, dude. But overall, like having the Tigers be good again is kind of fun. I mean, we finally have something to root for. I want to go to games now. Like I just saw a stat. They're like the fourth best team in the AL in like the past like 3 months. Like they're like actually playing good baseball, and it's just fun. It's bringing back memories of me sweating out like the 2013 playoffs, watching Miggy and all those guys. Well, he's still playing, but yeah, Miguel's hitting above 100, so that's good for him. He was,
Yeah, that is good for him. When he's up there, sometimes I just think he's like drunk Miggy from all his DUI stuff. And I'm just like, oh no, Miggy. But it
oh, he
is fun
looks
to root
worn
for
out.
baseball. Like I can't watch it on TV unless it's playoffs. I get a bit bored, but like going to a Tigers game and having it matter and like actually watching good baseball. Like I remember as kids, we used to go all the time and the team was so good and it was super fun. Fireworks at Comerica after the win and getting the hot dog and everything. And it was great. And I just miss going to a baseball game. It's kind of
Oh
nice when
yeah,
the team is actually competent, and you
oh
watch
yeah.
something decent.
It's not something I'm ever gonna watch really. Like I'm not gonna. I'll flip on a Tigers game on the background, but like it's nice to check your phone. You're like getting the ESPN notification. You're
And
like,
like,
oh,
oh,
Tigers won today. Look
mm.
at us. Look at
Yeah,
us.
it's basically like when you find a $5 bill in your pocket. Like it doesn't make your day, but it's something nice. Like,
Something.
oh, look at this $5.
I
Huh?
think this kind of does speak to more of how depressed Detroit sports fans have been in the past like 10 years. I don't even know, 7, 10 years. We've had nothing to root for, literally nothing. So we are ecstatic over the 10 games below 500 Tigers right now. I don't know. I mean, something at least.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wrote down is I've always complained that I think they should just let their players just do all the steroids and see who can get the best steroids and just let everybody get jacked and just smash home runs. That's my favorite thing. But like ever since this no spider tack thing has started, dudes are just yakking the ball out of the park. Like there's some crazy scores. Like there was a 14-10 the other night. Like sometimes you see teams like absolutely go crazy and score that many runs, but like teams are starting to score like 6, 7 runs a game. And I'm like, this is something I can get behind. Big home runs. Big.
Yeah. One thing baseball always does is run into itself and kind of ruin its own game somehow. So I think this was actually one of the few rulings that was good because now it leveled the playing field. Like no one wants it's for if you play baseball and you're a fan of the sport, I mean, you want to watch a good pitcher like dominate a team. But objectively, if you're trying to bring in guys like me and you that are kind of like prospective fans, I don't want to sit down and watch 4 straight hours of 0 runs and no action. We want to see the ball yacked out of the park. I want to see
Yeah.
the cover tearing off a ball and some guy just trotting around the bases, flipping people off. I love bat flips. I love all the like the show of it. So yeah, I think no spider tech was a good call by them.
You're right. I just want to see a yoked up dude who can barely move his arms, looking like Bryson DeChambeau up there trying to smack a home run. And then when he strikes out, he immediately goes into the dugout and his coach is just there with a needle and he just pulls his pants down and just right in the
Yeah,
ass. And he
need
goes,
more.
you need more roids. And then he goes up next time and he smashes it and he just breaks the bat in half with his teeth. That's all I want. That's all I want baseball to be is basically a steroid fest with running and hitting.
Well, you think about it too. If they're all roided up, there'd be more clearing brawls, and there's nothing anybody likes more than seeing a good MLB bench clearing brawl. I will tune in every single time. I'd rewatch fights. Like just I'll just look up on YouTube top 10 bench clearing brawls because it's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
Imagine the battles we would get out of a bunch of roided up dudes. It'd just be fucking war out there.
it'd be awesome. So that will end it for our old man talk, our idea for
I think
baseball.
we solved baseball.
We solved baseball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now moving on to our last category, love hate with a little bit of a twist. Stay tuned for that.
Mhm.
Welcome back to Love Hate. Sean and I have come to the decision that now that basketball is over and probably moving forward for the rest of when we do this podcast, we're just going to make love hate anything. Something you loved this week, something you hated this week. So Sean and I are both going to do one love and one hate. So My first love is Never Have I Ever. What? What is that? It's a game that you play with your friends where you put your hands down, where you do crazy things. Wrong. No, it is a great TV show that is on Netflix, starring a nice Indian woman who has to pick between two men who absolutely adore her. One's a nerd, one's a jock, one's super hot, one's not that hot, and it's awesome. And I love it. And I keep watching it, and it's high school teenage drama romance, but every time there's a show like that comes out, I just eat it up. I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's like the secret, like, teenager in me that doesn't want to die, who just likes things that have drama in it. But I just love this show. I don't know what it is. I think it's cute and I think it's funny. I don't know. I might be the
Okay.
only one who's a guy, but I like the show.
All right. Well, I mean, I know where this is coming from. I mean, we all have those little things. I've actually have a confession myself. I'm really addicted to Too Hot to Handle on Netflix. So
Another good show.
there's a weird part in all of us that enjoys shit like that. So I'm right there with you. I have not watched this show yet, but I will tune in now. That's a very strong recommendation.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's narrated by the weirdest narrator. It's narrated by Tennis's bad boy John McEnroe, and it's pretty funny.
What?
Yeah. It has nothing to do with the plot except for like two tiny little things, but it's narrated by John McEnroe, and I just think it's hysterical. Like, he
It's
doesn't
kind of
need
awesome,
to be
actually.
there, but he's just there.
Not at all. It's like having like David Ortiz narrate Too Hot to Handle or like Love Island or something like that. Like just a total mismatch.
I do love Too Hot to Handle. So you don't have to, like, there's something about putting a bunch of horny people near each other and then saying they can't do that that makes them even hornier, and that makes it even better to watch. Like, it's crazy. I love that show. Like, when I was watching the first episode of season 2 and I saw that kissing someone was worth $3,000, I just thought to myself, like, I would cut my fucking lips off for $3,000, let alone not kiss somebody for, like, what, a month?
Oh my god, dude, that shit is the funniest thing in the world to me. Dude, I've just seen the episode where the guy literally cannot contain himself and he has to beat off
In the
in
shower.
order
Yeah.
to like relieve his in the shower.
Uh-huh.
And he has the two that was the weirdest thing I've seen
And he had the
actually. That was
two
one of the
other.
weirdest things
No,
on
the
TV.
weirdest part was having the
It
two other
guarded the door.
guys guard the door, and like somebody tried to go to the bathroom. He's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, nah, bruv, nothing going on in here, mate."
There are bouncers for him bouncing his fucking hand on his dick. It was so weird. All right, blood. I have to go beat my dick real quick. Can you grab the door? And they're like,
Hey,
I
brother.
got
Hey, brother, I got your back. No problem.
no problem, man. Hey, have a good beat now. Dude, all
Cheers,
right. That
cheers,
show's
wanker.
outrageous.
All right, moving on. Sean, what's your love for this week?
Okay, actually, we have to do a too hot to handle review for the next episode. I think that's what
Okay,
we are
good.
forced to do. But yeah, all right. So my love is I'm just loving all this Aaron Rodgers talk. Him denying one of the biggest contracts in sports history. It's all signs are pointing to him leaving the Packers, and I'm overjoyed. I mean, just I'll pack his bags for him. Did you see his house got deep cleaned or something too? Like I would have done that. I would do that free of charge. I'll deep clean your car. I will pack your bags for you, Aaron Rodgers. Just
I
leave
will
Green
buy
Bay.
your
You don't have to
plane
be here
ticket.
anymore.
I will buy your
Yeah,
plane ticket. I will do all that for you. I will call you a car, whatever you need, sir. You want me to be
yes,
your
I'll
human
piggyback you
doormat?
across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
You
take
want
you
to
to
step
Denver,
on
man.
me?
Yeah. I'll be a human doormat for you. You can just walk on me all the way to Denver. Just get out, So
It's like
I'm
how
loving it.
when some people are on in America and they always have to walk on their soil, they have like a person throw their soil on the ground. That's just you.
Oh
He
yeah.
just walks on you, gets to the end, and he walks on me, and then we
hmm
just Lincoln log each other across the continental United
Yes, that's
States.
exactly what I'm thinking. So, Aaron Rodgers, if you're listening, please just take us. We'll do it for you. We'll do whatever you need. Some
I
full
abs-
service,
I
just as
absolutely
long as
love
you
it.
leave.
If that means no more heartbreaking losses for Detroit against the Green Bay Packers and the Green Bay Packers fans have to
Mm.
be in agony, gladly. Gladly.
You know what? Actually, I was thinking when Milwaukee is about to win the title, is that these are all Green Bay Packers fans.
I didn't
I
think
choose to
about that.
disassociate it, but it's
Yeah.
true.
It's like how it's like whenever like the Lakers do well and it's just like everybody here roots for LA. Is like, no, pick a side. You can't you pick a side. I just root for
LA
my
doesn't
LA
care about
teams.
sports.
No, they
No,
don't.
LA doesn't care about sports.
All right, let's move on to our hates for this week. My hate is inconveniences. So basically, Sean and I are playing in this men's basketball league that happens every Tuesday and Thursday, and I absolutely love it. And I live in East Lansing, so I drive the 40 minutes it takes to get to Howell, and you know what? That's an inconvenience for me. I hate that I have to drive 45 minutes out of my way to play in this league, but I have to. And then the one day, it's the thing I look forward to every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm happy to go. And then I get there, and 2 minutes into a game, I just smack my nose on the back of somebody's head. And I absolutely bleed everywhere. It's awful. I think I broke my nose. I'm pissed off. And then I'm just like, I had to put up with this inconvenience today of driving all the way here just to get my nose broken. Like,
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that.
yeah.
Especially like when you get like a small injury like that. Like remember I got turf toe playing pickup basketball. It sounds small, but it was so inconvenient. I couldn't walk on my fucking toe for like 3 weeks. Like it's just something small like that. Just being injured in general, like it's just annoying.
Yeah, we'll have to do like almost a Mount Rushmore of some point of just like small meaningless injuries that just suck. Like
Oh
if I
yeah.
had to just name off a couple, like having a hangnail, that's the worst thing ever.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one.
Chapped lips, that's up
Mm.
there too. A
Like a
tight,
sprain, something, a small grade sprain of your ankle.
yeah, stubbing your
Yeah.
toe,
Oh God.
that feels like you
Yeah.
died.
Oh no, that's the top five worst thing in my life. I
Yeah.
haven't had that. No, yeah, maybe not, but yeah, definitely doing like a Mount Rushmore for that
I've
soon. But
I've
I
literally
feel
stubbed
yeah.
my toe one time and just thought the toe fell off. Like it can't be there. That pain was too much.
Oh
There's
no,
no way my toe is
that
still
like
attached to my foot.
that first like 2 seconds after you stub your toe, the world's ending. Like nothing can be worse than those like first 2 to 5 seconds. Like you really feel like your foot is like removed from your body.
Yeah, it's just like tell my family I love them, put me in the hole now, I'm dead.
I'm literally, as soon as I stub my toe, I'm pulling out a piece of paper. I'm writing my will. I think it's over. Like simultaneously falling, writing a will. It's like it's over. It's all
I
right. I'm
stub my
accepting it.
toe and I fall down. They lift up my chest. It says DNR, do not resuscitate if stub toe. That's what it says. Huge tattoo.
I'm an organ donor. It's okay. Look at my card.
Take them, take them, take
Just
them.
want to
Just
save
start
someone else.
cut yourself open.
You
Start just
can't save me
take,
right now.
take them, take them.
You can save me. You can save someone else.
Sean,
Oh
what's
shoot.
your
All
hate?
right. So okay. All right. I was thinking about this. I'm gonna do something else. I hate moving out, and I've been putting it off for months, and I finally have to move out of my house at school. I've literally just been stewing here, just thinking about it, like, yeah, I'll eventually do it. But now the time has come where the deadline's almost here. Well, I'll get fined if I don't move my stuff out, and I have to drive to Mount Pleasant and out my entire house. So that's gonna be really annoying. So I guess it's on the line of like inconveniences, but that sucks.
That absolutely
Yeah,
sucks. I have to move
I
out
guess
of
that's
here in a month and go back to my room at home, and I have all this stuff that I don't know where it's gonna go. Like my room there can't handle
yeah,
all the stuff that's already there and this stuff. It's too much stuff. I have too much stuff.
yeah. Yeah, I have that, and then I had to move in like in 3 weeks. That I move into my new apartment up at Central. So I have like a dresser. I don't know what I'm gonna do with. I might just like push it down a river. Honestly,
I was
just kind of like,
thinking
"Hey, there you go.
just like just burn it in the street, maybe the whole house down too. So
Yeah,
then at least you don't have to move it out of the house. Just arson.
and then yeah, no, just commit some arson, just small amounts, and then just drive out of there. It can't prove anything. Like I think I'll be fine.
Yeah,
But
cameras do not exist.
one of the worst things though, I've just thought about this. I don't know if I cleared out my fridge. That's been there for like 4 or 5 months. So I could be in I could be waiting for one of the worst smells I ever smelled in my life too. So overall, this is gonna be a bad experience. I'll keep you guys updated next episode, but yeah, moving out, hate it.
Well, that will wrap it up for Love Hate and this episode of the Moving Forward podcast. I love the new format moving forward, so I think this is going to be what it's going to be. So yeah, it was awesome. And then Sean's waiting on a stink bomb, so that's
Mm-hmm.
where we'll leave this
I'll
episode off with.
pray for me, everyone. But yeah, this is fun and I like it. Shooting the shit a little bit more, and hopefully the listeners like it too.
All right. Well, that will end it for this episode of the Moving Forward podcast. As always, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the YouTube version at Loth11. Make sure to like and subscribe there. Until next time, peace.